All right, guys, so there's an article on Digital TQ that acts as an interview with the author of this article and the Coromon developers that was posted on April 13th, which as of the time of recording was actually yesterday. You guys might be seeing this a day or two later, but basically what I want to do in this video is I want to read through it because it talks about the future of Coromon. I'm not sure, I have not read this yet, so you guys are getting my sort of raw reactions. I'm not sure if they're going to be talking about Coromon 2. I'm not sure if they're going to be talking about post-launch updates. I don't know. I really want to read this. I'm pretty excited, and I was like, screw it. I'll read it with you guys. We'll have some fun together. So, yeah, without further ado, let's check it out. A reader exclusive interview with the Coromon developers about the future of Coromon games and what is to come in the next updates. I want to say thank you to both Marcel and Yotham of Tragsoft for giving Digital TQ this interview. They are the brains behind Coromon's game, and it was super interesting to hear their take on what the future of Coromon looks like. Let's take a look at our Coromon walkthrough page for good. Okay, we don't need to do that. We already know what the game's about. Y'all know what the game's about. Coromon interview with Marcel and Yotham. Congratulations on, so there's a question. Congratulations on releasing Coromon. It's one of the biggest games we've played in the last couple of years, best games. Can you tell us a bit about how you got the initial idea in 2014 of the release of the game? What were your biggest challenges in getting the game out? Thank you. We are very proud of what we created. The initial idea started back in 2014. Both Yotham and I, so this is Marcel, grew up with Game Boys and later the Nintendo 64. The games on those platforms sparked a flame of passion for adventures and RPGs. We fondly remember playing the Game Boy together with our friends, being pulled into the story and exploring awesome worlds that those games offered. Some 8 years back, we felt like games nowadays lacked something, that spark that ignited our passion. We wanted to bring back a nostalgic feeling of a grand adventure that you can share with your friends, and that's how Coromon was born. My apologies. The biggest challenges we faced were standing out. Back when we started, there was Micromon and Evo Creo that had released in the monster taming genre. Nowadays, there's a lot more of them, but how can you still stand out while still keeping that nostalgic feel of the genre? We spent many days thinking and brainstorming new mechanics, implementing them and throwing them out again. By going through multiple iterations, we finally reached a spot we were happy with our game. Speaking of multiple iterations, like if you guys have been following my channel for the last 2 years, you'll know there was like 5 different demo iterations. You had like Umber Noctis as the enemies, and then we moved on to the Woobians, and there was like a lot of little updates in between, a lot of changes. So yeah, they've definitely been really like good about experimenting, removing things that they don't like, and then going again. So what was the atmosphere like during the release of, the run up to the release window? We know about the Switch delay, but was there ever a concern about Steam? It was chaos. We were aware of the March release date sometime back, but we didn't realize soon enough that this meant the game really had to be ready more than a month early for press releases, for example. We had many 70 to 80 hour work weeks, I feel you on that. And the final patch was done a few hours before the Steam release. Jeez. We knew we would hit Steam launch date. It was mostly a matter of in what state the game would be. We wanted to push out as much polished content as possible. Will Coromon have post-release updates to expand on the original story or any new features? Yes, due to the stress for the release window, we had to scrap some things from the game or rush some parts. For example, we're not really satisfied with the ending part of the story. I actually mentioned this. Okay. We want to improve that in a later update. I kind of wonder how that would work if you already beat the game, if there's like a way to go back. We also had to cut. I'll beat the game again. I don't care. We also had to cut out the offline end game. People can already fight each other in online battles. We're working on something to keep players entertained without having to go online. Yes, a game mode which will be refreshing and challenging each time the player takes it on. We also plan on adding more Coromon and content like side quests over time and are constantly monitoring bug reports and feedback from the community. So I'm not sure which Coromon are coming back, but we know there's like Rhino Buzz or whatever it's called. There's that bug line. There's a few that got cut. Those legendaries like Tweegon that I think are going to be adjusted to be normal Coromon, because if you remember the database, you can only have one of each type, right? You have to have one of each type to complete it. So if there's a legendary and there's only one, how do you get all 3 of its variants? You can't. So I think they're going to make them like normal encounters. Maybe normal encounters that are in special areas or something. What does a future for Coromon hold? Do you potentially see sequels being released? Okay. We'd love to do a sequel. We already have plans of how the game would take place, which also opens possibilities to add new unique Coromon. But before we start on any sequel, we have to finish this first game and have it in a stage we're happy about. So yes, I was talking about Coromon 2. A lot of you guys were like, the game's not even finished yet. Blah, 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 blah. Look, speculation's fun. I know they're not even close to even beginning to work on it, but I thought it'd be fun to talk about what the far future could hold. Don't think that they're already working on Coromon 2 despite the fact that mobile and Switch isn't out yet, because that's not the case. I just like to speculate. For other indie developers who see the successful release of Coromon, what would you say is the key to creating a well-polished game? We keep raising the bar for ourselves and improving. Now and then we take a step back and consider, is this still good enough? Is this what we want? If not, we throw it out and start over. We've had about 10 variations of the prologue. That's right. That's right. I remember first, Spencer or whatever was your rival. Then he was like your roommate. Then he was your little brother. So they definitely have. Each with a different town to go with it. Another example of how Coromon sprites themselves. At first they weren't even animated, and now none of the sprites from the first batch remain. They've all been polished and improved or scrapped if they weren't up to par. So I would say that the key to a polished game is to keep raising the bar for yourself and don't be afraid to scrap parts of the game and start them over. If there was one feature or element you could change from Coromon, what would it be? As said before, the ending of the story is something we would like to change, and the content we had to scrap to meet deadlines. We'd like to see that in the game as well, and we'll definitely make that happen in future updates. Other than that, we're quite happy with our features and mechanics. It's got solid mechanics. Can you see Coromon always using the same pixel JRPG style, or would you like to evolve the game design going forward? We specifically chose this style to bring back the old school nostalgic GBA feel. Pixel art can sometimes be limiting, especially when supporting screens with small resolutions, but we do plan to stick with this style for the foreseeable future. See, I'm happy with that because a lot of devs will be like, I want to go 3D. 3D is expensive. Okay, so if you can't make 3D work, if you can't come up with the budget for that, you're either going to come up with a game that just doesn't, you just don't have enough money to make your game, or the 3D is going to look like shit. And the thing is, there's a word for this, I can't remember what it is, but basically when something gets too realistic, it has to get like realistic enough to like work. Or it has to be so unrealistic that your brain like imagines it more realistic. So like pixel art, it's very unrealistic, but your brain can fill in the gaps. But if you have something that is in 3D, but it doesn't look realistic enough, then it completely destroys your immersion. So I'm happy with them sticking with pixel art. I don't think they need to change that. I really like the pixel art. I think it's beautiful. You know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Cross-platform play and online features are featured in Coromon. Can you see a competitive community being developed for the game with tournaments and other events? Definitely. Our Discord server, there's already an active competitive scene, so more experienced players also help us with balancing Coromon and their skill sets. We've made it so players can set up a lobby with another player can join, so tournaments are definitely possible. The same competitive scene already mentioned setting up tournaments. There were several changes made from the demo version of Coromon to the release version, notably the cutting the number of Coromon being available. What were the reasons behind reducing the Coromon? This is because we scrapped some Coromon we were not happy with. Like we said before, we kept raising the bar for ourselves. We do plan on adding more over time, so players won't have to worry about a lack of Coromon to choose from. Are there any other upcoming indie games you guys are looking forward to playing yourselves? One game that's on our radar is Quartet, an upcoming JRPG by Something Classic. They also work with pixel art reminiscent of older JRPGs, and their previous game Shadows of Adam was very fun to play. Thank you again to Marcel and Yotham. We look forward to seeing you in future updates. Okay, so I've never heard of that game actually. So yeah, that was pretty much the article. It wasn't as long as I expected, but definitely a good read. I'm glad to see that they're obviously planning new updates. I've been telling you guys this is going to happen anyway, but it's nice to hear it out of the devs' mouths. I didn't know about them wanting to change the end game because I had said that I felt like the end game happened a little too quick. I would have liked, I don't want to spoil too much, but I would have liked there to be a little more going on there. Like, make it a little more grand, right? I think the final battle was really good, but I think like it needed a little more of a lead up to make it this like big grand thing. So hopefully we get something like that. If we do, I could definitely see myself doing like a randomizer run or something, like something fun or an insane mode run to sort of get back there and do something like that. But anyways, guys, if you did enjoy this video, if you are a fan of Coromon, if you're a fan of monster taming, etc., definitely subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every single day. Also, let me know what other Coromon videos you want to see. I've done a lot of guides already. I've done a lot of breakdowns. I still got a few that I definitely need to get through. But I'm starting to be like, all right, so I'm starting to be like, okay, I don't need to upload 3 videos a day anymore. So anyways, let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.